Good afternoon, everyone. So happy you guys are here. You're still here. It's been like 2 hours already, so it's kind of anxious. But glad you're here. And today's topic is punctuation. And I was giving the permission that I will give you a test at the end. And if you don't pass this test, you won't get your certificate. So you have to pay attention, otherwise you will fail and no certificate at all. Alright, so punctuation. Sorry, please. So, is it even worth it? You might ask. I'd say yes. Punctuation is really, really important. Why? Because if you don't use proper punctuation, you could lead a country to war. You could give the wrong message to people, and they will get the wrong idea. But the main point is to have a good punctuation because you want to give the message straight, and you want to be always keep punctuation properly. So let's begin with some of them. We'll start with the apostrophe. We use apostrophes for missing letters. Like for example, cannot, if we put the apostrophe, we'll use can't. It is, I would, I had, I'd. See, that's because the apostrophes to omit letters, or missing letters. For possessives, for example, Mark Twain's trip. Victor's snowboard. We also use them for plural of letters and numbers. You've probably seen it. Thelma writes S instead of P. Music was better in the 70s, which is true. Colon, and I can spell it colon. We use colon for explanations. For instance, I did not go on vacation, colon, I had too little money. In this case, we use colon after the explanation, and the explanation has to go, it has to make sense with the main idea. In this case, I did not go on vacation, explanation, I had too little money. Danny got caught cheating. Alice saw him with another girl. Same case. The explanation after the main statement. To introduce a series of lists, for example, Palmira needs a ski equipment, colon, a helmet, ski pants, boots, and goggles. For letters, this is most of the time we use the colons for letters, and this is where you will see them most of the time. For example, well, I have to make a parenthesis here because in the US we use colon after the main name. For example, dear Mr. Heron, colon, and this is what we use in the US. And in the UK we have a different one. They don't use the colon. They use either a comma or nothing to introduce a letter. So you'll see both of them, the difference, the US and UK, colon, no colon. Next slide, please. Comma. This is the one that probably we use the most. Well, we use all of them, but this one it has several uses, but we'll just focus on a few of them. For example, again, to introduce a series of lists. Miguel bought wine, comma, chips, comma, beers, comma, ice, comma, cups, comma, and plates. To enlist a series of articles in this case. Between adjectives, again, Dana was a tall, comma, thin, comma, and beautiful girl. Another example, London is a terrific, comma, romantic, comma, and rainy city. Another use is to introduce information. In this case, information that we already know, but we put the information between commas. For example, Anna, my girlfriend, bought me a teddy bear. You see, if we could omit this information and the sentence will still make sense. Like I'm going to read it without the extra information. Anna bought me a teddy bear. But we're putting the commas to give extra information. Another one, Daniel, my classmate, did not fail his English class. Again, in this case, my classmate is the extra information. If we omit the extra information, the sentence will still make sense. Next slide, please. The period, this is the easiest one, and most of the people tend to forget to place the period where they should go. And for instance, we use the period to close a complete sentence. For instance, Converse are my favorite shoes, period. Complete sentence. Our college fee is very expensive. Again, complete sentence, period. For abbreviations, US, which stands for United States, Dr. Phil. Again, we don't have to write the entire doctor, so we just use period and we're omitting the rest. MA, which stands for Masters, South Africa. Again, we are omitting the letters and we're putting the period to omit them. And New Zealand. For indirect questions, I asked her what time it was. Again, period. Another example, I asked my brother if he had a date. Period. See, this is the easiest one, but people forget to place it. Next slide, please. Quotation marks. We use quotation to quote somebody else's words, not my words, but somebody else's. And we have to put in, otherwise we would be making plagiarism, or we would be saying words that are not ours. So we have to use quotation marks. For instance, Pablo said, quotation, I like to be a hippie, end of quotation. And I think he does. Lazarus' teacher said, quote, you have failed the exam. Quotation, see? Those are not my words, those are the teacher's words. And here, Pablo said, again, Pablo said it, not me. He said that he likes to be a hippie. Okay, to give the special meanings for words or phrases. For instance, Juan Jose is like a machine, he never gets tired. See? I'm using machine to give a different meaning because he's always energetic, and I think he's like a machine because he doesn't get tired. This one, for instance, Suzette's next novel, The Truth, is coming out next month. Here, I'm using quotation to put the name of the book. See, so we're using it for special meanings. Next slide, please. Question mark. This one's also pretty easy, and we use it all the time. We use the question mark, to turn a statement into a question. For instance, she does a beautiful job. That's the statement, and we turn it into a question when we use doesn't she? That's how we turn a statement into a question. Second example, Andy and Daniel should quit smoking. Shouldn't they? Otherwise they'll get cancer. No. See again the statement, and we turn it into a question. So that's pretty easy. For direct questions, what time are you coming home, Mom? Question. When is your birthday, buddy? Again, question. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I was saying, is it important to have a good punctuation? I think it is important because, as I said at the beginning, you don't want to give the wrong message to people because you could create conflict. So in this case, I'm going to show you a few examples, and we're going to focus on commas and the importance of commas. So next slide, please. See, all these pictures don't have commas, so that's why they have a different meaning. So I'm going to read it to you. Let's start with the famous Rachel Ray. And this is a magazine. It was published, so you would think that they have editors, but they don't. So, well, they probably missed this one. So So it says, Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking, her family, and her dog. See, because they missed the comma, they're saying that she likes to cook her family. So that's kind of crazy. So it should have been, Rachel Ray finds inspiration in cooking, comma, her family, comma, and her dog. That's what she meant to say. In this case, same thing. I like cooking my family and my pets. She's a little psychotic, I would say. So I like cooking, comma, my family, comma, and my pets. So that's the real meaning. This one's funny too. Slow children crossing. So it means that the children are doing this. See? So that's what they're saying without a comma. So the way to correct this is slow, comma, children crossing. So that's what it should have been, instead of the children doing this. Next slide, please. This one's correct, but this one has a different meaning because the comma is placed in a different place. For instance, a woman, comma, without her man is nothing. And now the second example, a woman without her means nothing. So the meaning changes depending on where you place the comma. So you have to be careful what you're trying to say, because otherwise you'll give the wrong message. This one's funny too. It says, toilet only for disabled, elderly, pregnant children. So all these adjectives to describe children. So the toilet is only for children who are disabled, elderly, and pregnant. So can you imagine a children that it makes no sense? A children that is elderly, that is pregnant, and that is disabled. So what they said is it should have been toilet only for disabled, comma, elderly, comma, pregnant, comma, and children. That's the way it should have been, but they gave the wrong message. This one's also funny as well. It says, hunters, please use caution when hunting pedestrians using the walk trail. So they're telling the hunter to be careful when the children are crossing, and it gives the wrong message. So they're telling the hunter to be careful when they cross, but it should have been, hunters, please use caution when hunting, comma, pedestrians crossing, when hunting, comma, pedestrian using walk trail. So that's what it should have been. That was the real meaning. And to end this, these are on my own words. This is why the importance of punctuation. It says, save people's time by writing properly. Because again, I don't want to read you 10 times and trying to figure out whether it's a question or it's a statement. So, thank you very much.